Undertale is a role-playing game in a world where a child falls into the underworld and has to battle an assortment of different monsters who have been banished to a different realm after a war between them and humans. The game was published on September 15th, 2015 by 8-4 and developed by Toby Fox. The ESRB rating is everyone 10 plus for fantasy violence, mild blood, mild language, and use of tobacco. It is a role-playing single-player game inspired around several games, including the Mario and Luigi series of role-playing games, the shooter series The Tohu Project, and Mr. Bean, the British comedy show. Frisk is the playable character who has fallen into the underground and is trying to get back to the surface world. The first character he encounters is Flowey, one of the main antagonists, and he introduces the mechanics of the game by false friendliness. This is the first interaction with him where he teaches you sort of how the attack screen works, but really, he's just trying to kill you. Thankfully, Toriel comes and saves you from him. Toriel acts as a mother figure, and she's extremely protective of her children and enjoys baking and cooking for all the humans she encounters. Sans is a short skeleton who often sleeps or takes breaks while doing his job and extremely enjoys skeleton puns. He is a prankster who enjoys messing around with people and especially messing around with his brother. Papyrus is Sans' brother, and his main goal is to try and capture a human so he can become popular and have more friends and become a member of the Royal Guard. Let's talk about how the game works on an iOS device. To move, you can only use the arrow keys and the enter key. In order to interact with a character or an object, you must be facing it and then hit enter. If you're facing an object and hit enter, then the object's description will show up. If you're facing a character that you can attack, then usually some witty or snarky dialogue will pop up. If you're facing a monster, then an attack screen shows up. The attack screen consists of 4 categories of actions: fight, act, item, and mercy. Fight lets you choose a character to attack if there are multiple, and then the attack bar will show up. This is the attack bar, and you have to click enter to make the bar stop moving, and that will be the strength of your attack on your opponent. Act gives you a variety of different actions to do against your opponent. For example, against a ghost, you can check, threaten, flirt, or cheer. With any of the dog guards, you can choose to pet or play with them. Every opponent has different actions that you can use on them, with some overlap between different monsters. Item lets you use any items you have in your inventory against your opponents, like sticks or toy knives, or it lets you use any consumable items to regain your strength or power. Lastly, Mercy will let you flee from your opponent or spare the monster you are currently attacking. The player experience of Undertale is extremely enjoyable. The challenging role-playing battles against a variety of monsters and unique options against each of them heavily increases the fantastical and narrative aesthetics of the game, while the hilarious commentary and fun and witty remarks and asides keep the player balanced between sober and frivolous interactions. The free roam aspect of navigating the terrain heavily increases the discovery and interest of the game, which gives the player ownership, expression, and control of the style of play. The way I've chosen to subvert the gameplay of Undertale is by foregoing the entire main quest and only talk to people. Instead of fighting monsters or interacting with Sans and Papyrus, I'm only talking to the villagers of Snowdin, the town I'm currently in. The town consists only of friendly monsters who either don't care or don't realize that I'm a human. This is a subversion of the traditional gameplay because it is absolutely not necessary to talk to everyone or anyone really. If dialogue between characters is necessary for the game to progress, then the text will pop up on its own. This changes the mechanics and the dynamics of the game in many ways, but one specifically relates to the repercussions of previous actions. Earlier in the game, I had fought and killed 2 dog knights who were lovers, and several characters mentioned not feeling safe for a reason they can't put a finger on. One of the villagers standing next to the Christmas tree even mentions how the dogs always give each other bones and how happy they get, and inquires where they are. This enhances the gameplay because suddenly the player realizes that they may have done something wrong, giving them the sensation of guilt, and foreshadows that their actions may have future consequences, which they would have not realized had they skipped these interactions and moved forward with the main plot.